web design agency. Uh, so today I want to go over with you like how to design a portfolio project. Now, I've previously done a video on why portfolio projects are like the most important or the best way to add content to your website. So today I want to go over some different ways you can design a portfolio page or portfolio project page for your website. We're going to use, so I'm going to look at what the AI can produce. We are going to also reference the Elegant Themes Divi layouts. I found a landing page that we can reference in terms of components and design components on the page. And so I have a good idea in my mind of what I want to be on the portfolio project page. So when I was looking for a Divi layout, I really couldn't find a layout, a portfolio project layout that had all the components that I wanted. But if there's, but that's not to say that you couldn't find a Divi layout page and project page and use that to design and build your own portfolio project. I just want a little bit more things on that page. So I couldn't find an exact match, but we can talk about how you could use one of those Divi layouts. Now, I want to give you guys a little bit of history. So Shepherd's Loft started back in 2020. So this is our 25th year as a agency, as a web design agency. And when we first started, man, it was just a throwback here, throwback Thursday, right? We were using the macro media. I loved Fireworks, and I would design the website in Fireworks, and then you could draw the areas that you would slice up to create the images and then go build your page in Dreamweaver. And so that's how it really kind of started. And over the years, I have tried different processes. So the point of the video today is I really want to show you that if you think out, if you prepare to if you prepare a design before you actually build the page, then you're going to end up with a professional result. And so this is the difference between, any kind of like small, web design company versus, an agency or a team that's been doing this for a long time. Or even if you're doing this yourself, I want to kind of provoke the idea that, hey, think about what you want going on the page. And I don't care if you use a paper and a pencil, but draw out what it is that you want your layout to look like in full before you actually start building your page. And the core purpose and the reason that you want to do that is because you can think through. So, and let me just say iterations. Okay. So when you do things in iterations, right, you're able to improve upon it, improve upon it, improve upon it. However, it's extremely important that you get all the way through the process and you don't get stalled out in one place or another. Um, so there's two challenges here. One is you want to follow the process and you want to get to the end without giving up. And also, in following the process, you want to think about what you're doing. So, if you follow the process, you want to think about what content is going to be on the page, what's the design going to look like, and then move into the build process, and then just focus on building what you designed, regardless of what you think the outcome is going to be. So, don't give up. So, even if you get to the build stage and you think, okay, this is going to be a terrible page. That's okay. Just finish doing what you're doing because you can always come back and start again. I was like, hey, this is what you've learned. Make a new design, make a new build, and then apply it. So that process of iteration is what will make your web pages better in the end. So after doing this for 20, 25 years, that's what I'm saying that I have learned a lot over the years. So in the beginning, as I was mentioning, we used Fireworks. We would do a design, then we would do a build. Later on, we moved into an era where we had child themes, and like you could go buy a WordPress theme for a particular type of business, and you could get that theme. You can and those layouts were already kind of built, so you would kind of skip So the design was already done for you. You just get the layouts, you buy them, you put them on, you start building. Okay. But in that case, that would be more of a DIY, right? If you're doing it yourself, you can go out there, and especially if you're using Divi, you can find a layout that's pretty close to what you want to do, and or the services that you offer, and you can see the components that need to be included in the website. So that's kind of one idea, is that using those layouts, a lot of those ideas are kind of visual already for you to do. So I've gone through those different stages, and I've done both methods, and now I'm back to, the last few years, I'm back to like, okay, I can't find layouts that include all the components that I want on a page. So I'm back to designing pages, myself in a software called Figma. It was not sponsored, but I love the software because I am able to, again, separate into the individual steps. Okay, I'm thinking through what the layout's gonna look like, maybe what pictures I'm gonna use, what the words might say, and so I'm more focused on the actual content and the layout of the page and the usability before I actually start building the page. So that's what today is about. Today is about that first step, step one. Let's design the layout for the portfolio project specifically, and the components that we want to include there. And again, it depends on what kind of service or business you have. You may want to include different items, or or less items, or more items, or different items. Either way, so that's what the challenge is today, and we're also going to use AI to help produce something, and then we can use it for suggestions, which is a great way to use the AI. And I wanted to give one more note, so let me grab something right here. So if you're doing this yourself, a great thing that you can do is you can just take a standard 8.5 by 11. So I have it on a clipboard here, and you can see I kind of started a rough pencil layout right here. See, and the idea here is, if you fold the paper vertically, then you have this proportion, right? So this could be 1,000 or 1,200 pixels wide for your web page, and if you want it to be, shorter, you can. If you want it to be full width, designed to the edge of the pages, but you can literally just fold an 8.5 by 11 vertically, and then you can start sketching out the story that you want to tell. So this would be a picture with text and picture and text, and then maybe this is a gallery here, and then we would move on down, and we would have a quote from the customer. I just didn't finish doing that on pencil because I'm going to do it today in the design software. So you could do this, and then you could jump into whatever website builder that you're using, and just follow your sketch. So just trying to make it super simple. And again, it's all about preparing for your design before you start building. So thinking through those. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to jump in. And the first thing I want to do, I want to show you a Divi layout, so you can immediately get started and get a visual for what's going on. So sharing the screen here. So I did a little bit of research, and found this layout. So this is from Elegant Themes. You can go to, it's quite a long link here, but if you Google Divi layouts, you will probably end up on, let's see, let me go back one page here and show you. They've got some great layouts. They have this little search function over here on the left, and you can click the category, and you can search the layouts. And that's how I found this particular layout here, the design agency landing page. I really like this top header. We've got a little bit of a watermark in the background. So as far as our portfolio page, this could be like the title of the portfolio item. It could be a luxury home design, with a short summary. In this the button could actually jump down to the press item. We could have a picture of the home that's here. Then as we scroll down this page, so this is a live page that we're looking at the layout. I don't really know what we could use this section for so that you could delete that section. A video would be nice if there was a video available, but typically I like to put it closer to the bottom of the page instead of the top. Here's some just generated, statistics. This could be like the number of materials used or price or square footage of the home. So just some stats about the actual project might be pretty cool. And then I like this section for kind of the beginning of the description of the project. So we could talk about the exterior with a picture on the left. We could talk about the interior and then build other sections like this that kind of alternate back and forth with text on the left and pictures on the right. And then this would be great for the bottom of the page, other projects, portfolio projects, or other home design projects, to have a keyword centric title. And then, or this section could be used for the photo gallery of the home that was built. So a nice little photo gallery montage. And then, the skills, this is pretty cool little section. So again, this could be kind of a rating like, okay, that's, this much is luxury, this much is modern, or this much is rustic, so we could kind of show like, what the balance is between what's modern and rustic and, even reliable or endurable materials, so forth. So that might be kind of a cool section to have if you're a home builder. And then the full section here, this could be like the press or magazine layout to where, you can click and it would turn the pages. So many of our customers, um, home design projects that have been built have been published in the magazines. So we could kind of feature that here towards a little closer to the bottom of the page. And then here's just an alternate layout, with the picture overlap in the background. And, so that's kind of good. And then this is very important is there's a customer testimonials. In this case, there would only be one testimonial for the home because a person bought it, not everybody. But I think this is an extremely important component to the portfolio project is having the customers response from the design build. And then this is a contact form at the bottom. So there's a call to action. So there's a lot of, I think there's some very good design components here. So if you are kind of relying on the Divi layouts as a starting point, you have to kind of imagine what you're going to use those sections for. Again, if you grab a piece of paper and do the draw out, you can kind of use this as a design reference and then draw on the paper and write down like which sections you want it to be so you can mix and match. So those are pretty cool, but we are not going to be using that method today. I have also made a video about how to use one of these layouts and then modify it to your needs. And so I've made one of those videos before. And again, I've also made a video about why portfolio projects are so important or the best content for your website. So I've already done those before. So we're going to move on to uh, trying to make a design. So today we're using the Figma, and I already have a project set up in Figma for modern rustic homes, and we've already redesigned the service page. So what you're looking at here is the entire page. So if you were on your computer and you could zoom all the way out to where you could see the page top to bottom, this is what the service page looks like and all the copy on the page. So you can see we just have alternating content of different sizes. And then towards the bottom, we have a little blurb about Michael, and it's a different color background. So it kind of jumps out with a photo of him. And at the very bottom, there's some frequently asked questions. So that's a specific, this is used the accordion from Divi. And then the others are just standard, rows with modules, just so that what those are. And then there's a call to action at the bottom. So since we already have this project set up, I want to kind of reference these colors and the style that we've already been using. And so we're just gonna kinda continue on with the design, with the layouts and design and references and the fonts and things like that. So we want to make them similar, the portfolio project similar to what we're already have been doing, right? So here's another section here. This is how to get started at the bottom. And then we have alternating sections that have call outs, about universal, I can zoom in here, universal access, green building, so there's call outs, and this is a testimonial section that has the arrows that can click, I get it. The arrows are different than the software, but it works. It's understood. So this is another page that we can reference, and then so I'm going to start a new one, and we're starting absolutely from scratch today. But before we do this, we wanted to jump back over, and we're going to look and see what Gemini can produce for us. And so I have no prep in this. I have used the AI quite a bit, but we are going to ask it to build us a web page just so that we can see what it looks like. So this will be a bit of a challenge in itself. So let's just jump right in. Okay, so we want to build. Um, let's build a portfolio. Um, So instead of build, well, yeah, the AI is going to build it, and then we're going to look at the design. So I don't know if it can actually do the design. I mean, we could try that. So let's change our keyword. Let's design a portfolio uh, website page or web page that includes the following in order from top to bottom. And then we're going to do a header or a banner section with a full background image of exterior image. So we got to be specific, right? Exterior image of a home, follow, then a photo gallery section. Okay, no, we want to do a description of the project, then photo gallery, and a customer testimony at the bottom. Okay, so this is probably not worded very, very well, but let's just see what Gemini can produce for us. Okay, so it's already is starting to give us content. And so we asked it to design. So its thought process in designing is to kind of give us a list of the contents on there. So if we want to actually build a page where we can look at the layout, we're going to have to ask it to build a portfolio page. So there's a little pencil up here. We're going to hit that. So let's build a portfolio web page that includes the following. So I'm just going to make that one little change and see what we get as a result. Okay, so here it is. So now it is generating the actual HTML code, and it's still thinking. So we'll let it finish thinking before we try to look at the preview. So this is the important thing to know about using the AI is you got to understand the industry terminology, and you got to be able to prompt the AI properly with the correct terms. Okay, so it automatically flipped over to our preview. Maplewood residence, a full exterior interior remodel project. Okay, so I didn't tell it remodel or new home construction, but this is a full width banner. The Maple residence. Okay, and then project overview, which is good, visual progress and finished spaces. So this is kind of interesting. It's listing out the kitchen and outdoor living room. And so that's kind of cool. So it's listing the different projects, which is something I've done in the past, and then it's got the customer testimonial down here. So you can see that I was able to generate, uh, some content. Now, so we'll go a few steps forward. So let's add a press section. Let's see, we want to go above the testimonial, add a press section above the customer testimonial. That includes the magazine spread. Okay. And then I'll put in quotes with the title. Let's see. Modern rustic home design and build. So let's see if we can modify our web page here. Here's the updated portfolio file. Okay, looks like it's spinning over here. So my objective here is just purely to see and compare what the AI can do, versus what we are going to do as humans. So, sometimes, everybody's all into the AI and thinks it's just super easy, but if you know what you're doing and what you're trying to get out of it, it actually can be pretty challenging. So it doesn't look like the top part of the page changed or anything. So in the press, here we go, modern rustic home design and build. And here's the magazine spread. So, it added the section in there, so it did exactly what I asked it to do. So we could change. So let's see if we can change this section. That would be a real challenge. So change the visual progress and finish spaces to a grid of photos, a photo gallery grid. Okay, let's see if we can get that. So I'm going to poke this a few more times and see if I can get it closer to what I'm imagining in my mind that I want. And then we'll jump over and then we'll actually do the design in Figma. So just a couple more rounds with the AI. So it didn't really change. It changed the title to photo grid, which is totally not what I wanted. I wanted to see, pictures in a grid layout. So, I mean, I guess that's the best I'm going to get out of that. So let's change the description section to a 50-50. Change the description section to a, okay, let's be specific, a two column section with a photo on the right. So hopefully it understands that I'm referring to this because that's what I initially put in the initial question. So let's see if it maintains that memory. I guess I could have referenced project overview, but that wasn't the terminology. Oh, look, so we did it. So that was super cool. Now, now what I would like to do is add another section that's the another way. So it understands what two column is. It understands what a grid is, and then in a customer quote. So it does understand quite a few of the things that I'm asking for. So let's try one more. Add a two column section with more. Let's see, add a two column section. Let's tell it where. under the description with additional information on the right and an image on the left. All right, here we go. So far it's doing pretty much what I'm asking for, which is cool. So now I guess it would be interesting if I had a photo and I could throw it into the background. Um, I can't say that, and so we've spent quite a few minutes, probably 10 minutes already on this. So what would be interesting is, I mean, if you got very proficient at using the AI, it might be faster to do it this way. I don't know. But there's a lot we're using the Divi builder. So I would have to be able to tell it every single, you know, uh, instance or every single tiny thing to do to make it look the way I wanted it to look, which would be a real challenge. Okay, so it did exactly that. It even alternated the colors, which is kind of cool, because the grid section has a gray background. So this is really kind of what we're looking at. If we can imagine this blue as a background image with a good title, and then we have our portfolio project description, and maybe we highlight the living room and the master bedroom, and we have continued description of the project, and then we have a grid of all the different rooms. So I like the idea, so it's giving me ideas, right? And as I'm prompting it, and then we have the press and the customer. So this is basically what we want, real rough. So now I'm sure if we sat here for an undetermined amount of time, we could we could we could keep prompting this to get it the way we wanted. But um, that's not the way I'm going to do it. But I just want to show you guys that this was possible. It's just a matter of giving it the right prompts. So we're gonna move on, and we'll come back and compare and use those ideas. So I've already closed out the Divi layout, but you can reference the Divi layout. You can use the AI to get some ideas. You can get the pencil and paper out, and you can fold your paper vertically like a hot dog, and you can pencil out, make your plan. So we're gonna go back, and I'm gonna copy one of these pages. I don't think the portfolio project is going to be quite this big. So I think what I'm going to do is copy. This has got the colors, the 50/50 layout. Um, so I think what I want to do is copy this one. So let's just make sure we don't have any layers uh, locked. Okay, I don't see any locked layers. So I'm going to click, drag, and copy, go to our gallery project, and paste. All right. So now we have, this is kind of a cheat again. We have a starting point, the background. So this is how wide is this? This is 1200 pixels wide, 520. So this right here is already a screenshot, and then this is another kind of way to get things jump started. So we can pull up the live website, and we can make screenshots of any of the components that we want to keep in this design to add to what we're doing. So I'm going to go to the portfolio project, and I don't remember, one of these actually had some of the components. So this is currently what it looks like. So this page is very, it's there's no layout here. So but we do like this right here. We do like this grid type layout. So I do know that I want this particular piece and look. So I'm going to grab a screenshot of that and throw that on my canvas. Right. And then I'm going to put it over on the left. And this little section in here, this is, the mobile. So if I want to make sure that I'm communicating to the build team what I want the mobile to look like, I can kind of do, a partial over here at a different width to be able to communicate that. Now, most of this is a lot of this is gonna go away, so I don't need quite all of these sections, so I know that my testimonial section is not gonna be have arrows, it's just gonna be one testimonial, but if I keep this as it is, this will match the other page that we've already designed and built. So this section is really already done. So we can zoom in on this, and I'm going to group that, Command G to make a group. So I know that I want to keep this section right here just as it is. Okay. And then I believe we want to put in like other projects at the bottom. So I know all this is going to go away down here. So I'm just gonna kind of clean up my canvas. I know this is taking some time, but I've already got one section done. Um, and so I can move that section, hold the shift key, and I can move that section up and down where I want it. All right, and this is the gallery section. So I want to have the magazine section in here. We want to look at so give me a second. I'm gonna go find this other section here. There was a PDF viewer embed for WordPress. And I think we've already got a plugin picked out that we want to use. But I don't remember the name of it. So I'm just going to go over here and just see if I can find one so I can get a screenshot and put it into our layout. Okay, I don't see the one flipbook. I don't know if that's the one. Okay, so I'm just looking for a screenshot. That's a YouTube video. So do they have a live preview? I don't see a live preview. So I guess the other strategy we can make is just to see if we can just see if there's already an image of one out there. Yeah, that's what we need. Okay, this was a stand up. So we're really looking for one that's a side by side left page. So you can see the left page and right page together. Take us a few minutes to search for it. Wow, you think this would be easy, right? So here we go. I just want a picture of a PDF embed. Now here's a cool one right here. You can see the multiple pages of the spread, but it's got a single page here. Um, see if I can check my notes. Oh, I don't see my note for that. PDF viewer embed for WordPress. And I got a good search. This looks like one down here, but it has the different controls on it. Okay, so I can't find a good embed. That's the ones I already searched for. Okay, so I can't find a good embed for that, so I may have to just make something up. So we'll delete that section, and then so let's just draw something. I know I'm kind of just jumping in the middle here. So 11, 10. So I'm just going to draw a box, and then I'm going to change it to black because I'm pretty sure the embed is black, and that would look good too. And then we're going to make this 1000. Well, if it's 8.5 by 11, 8.5 would be about 800 pixels. And we could go to 1100. So it's maybe this size, not sure. So then I'm going to grab, let's see, one of these layouts. And so I'm just going to kind of comb through some of his projects to find some pieces. So right here is a log home living cover. So I'm going to grab this one, copy image, and then I can just paste that on here, I believe. Wow. Boom, there it is. So this is kind of cool. So here's our PDF viewer, and we'll just set this in here. And then what I need is kind of a sub page, secondary page. So I don't know if we linked that to the actual article page. I mean, we could fake it, right? So if we copy a photo, we'll copy this other little image here, copy image. Oh, it's two. That's fine. So we'll put that here. So what we're gonna make a pretend page, and this looks like it's bigger than. So where's our halfway mark? I had some guides. That's the mobile. Okay, that looks like about half. I believe there's going to be some controls top and bottom. So we'll put that there. And then I'm just going to design the other half of the page. So this is 470 by 576. So let's round off the numbers. 580. Whoops, too big. 580. So 550. 550 by 664 still looks bigger than, so let's do 500. 500 by 604, so that's pretty good on the numbers. 500 by 604. 500 by 600. I'm just going to put those together. We'll change that to white. Maxing background color. Oh, we're off by those 4 pixels. So 604. Then I'll drop this on top. I'll have to cut and paste it to make it go up a layer. Right there. tell these to align top. So now I just need some copy to go there. You can steal this, select, and then if I do Shift Option, should make a copy, but I'll have to cut it and paste it to go back on top. Okay, so now we have a pretend magazine layout. There'll be more controls in here, you know, page turn buttons and all those things. I'm not really worried about all that. I'm just, you know, my main goal here was that I have a placeholder for the embed software, however that's going to work. You know, this actually might look nicer if we have one more photo in there, but we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so this section actually doesn't have a title, which might be kind of tricky. Just for fun, we're gonna just resize this so it just presents a little bit better. This section has a background image on it, which I really like. I really like the texture of that. So I'm gonna swap that out to this section down here. So ungroup, Command Shift G. Put that on there. If I select all these items, I can align them in the middle. And Command G to group them back together. Now I've got this little section designed in groups. Now it's got some texture. So what we're missing here, I'm actually going to just delete the, I'll delete this section here because I don't believe I need that. What I need is put a title into here. Client testimonials, universal access. I'll grab this one, Command Shift. Shift makes it go in a straight line, and the Option makes a copy. I can cut and paste it back on top. So it's already white, so I'm going to need to pick another color. I should have colors already in my palette, so then I can just pick that. So then we'll do, log home living spread featured, or we can even say featured in log home living, right? Check the size of my font here. That's a size 33. So I like to do 55, 44, and then 33. So I'm going to change this to 44 to be an H2. So that's just my own little personal, personal guide, a way I like to do the sizes. Now this one should be, if I double click, I can get in. So I would like for this one to be 33, and it is. So that looks good. Oh, I did the line height. Okay, so I missed okay, here's the size over here. I just missed it, 44. I didn't think it changed in size. Okay, now it's bigger, which looks great. Featured in log home living. So we have our press section and our testimonial section done. And then we're going to keep all of this up here as part of the project. And then we need to make a bigger full screen header at the top. So we're kind of working from the bottom to the top here. And then we would like to put a list of other projects at the bottom. Okay, so we're not going to need this section here. So we're going to put this in. You can see that's too big, so we'll just scale that down. So it'd be nice if we knew, this is going to be kind of generic because I don't know what each portfolio project is going to have each portfolio project was a little different in terms of its style, its design style and build, or versus modern versus luxury versus log. So I don't know exactly which so we'll need to be able to change. We'll have to change the titles based on that. So photo gallery, but we can add those words to it. So for now, I'm just going to call it the photo gallery, and that people can click and view those terms. Now this is not really a photo montage. That actually would look great if we did a photo montage, but oh, sorry. But this gallery could be like kind of where the bulk photos is, and we could also add a photo montage in a different section, which would be kind of cool. In addition to having some call outs to like the living room and so forth. So this particular, if we're following this one, let's see if we can grab this picture here, copy image. So if we're using this one as an example, we might could get a little bit more detailed. Okay, so I had accidentally just moved my background rectangle, so I will lock that, click the padlock so that doesn't move anymore. Okay. I want to get us some space here so we have some room to work. We will put the living room in here. So this is 50-50, and we can go to the edge of the page. So we'll just resize that to the edge, like so. This type is size 18, so it's a good size. Probably needs, well, we can actually grab the real content from the page and see if we can follow that. So North Georgia Mountains, and so this actually has the location and stuff on it. European hunting lodge look and feel. Okay, so that's the style right there. So we're gonna grab that and put that with this main photo. And all this seems pretty tedious, but and since I've copied and pasted, I've really got a lot of the details already done, like the colors. This font is an Inran Sans, which we may have to use one slightly different on the website, but this is kind of what we're going for. So we'll, in the boxes, a lot of this stuff is kind of laid out for us already, which helps us make this process faster. But, again, we're really thinking through, how we want the content on the page to lay out, right? So, so this will be the first section here, and then we'll go ahead and take all this copy here and put it in there. Now you can see how that makes just a really big block of text, which is kind of too much. So we're gonna grab half of this, and also there's a period here, so that's kind of a long sentence, but we'll also make that separate paragraphs so that it's more digestible, easier to read. And that's part of what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to show how this is going to actually lay out on the page and be easy to read. And then, whether I build the page or whether somebody else on the team builds the page, then they can kind of see, hey, this is what we're looking for. So the challenge here is, can we put a subtitle on the rest of this? It says the result, home designed for grand living that is both comfortable and enjoyable. Grand living design, home designed with decks, garages, outdoor spaces. So we'll put grand living home design. So there's some keywords in there, right? And then let's find another photo to go with that. And I think in this particular project, the kind of the man cave, which I think is this one. Yeah, this is just gorgeous. So we're going to copy this one. So other than the living room, this is a good featured room. It's way too big, so let's scale that down. All right. Give that some more space. All right. Now, looking back at the other pages, we we place the images within the confines of the column, and there's I guess what they call a gutter here in the middle between the image and the text. So that's the way we've been designing these pages. These are alternating 2/3, 1/3, but still there's this nice gutter. It's not seamless, and there's space. So if we're going to add gutters or have gutters on our gallery photo images, then we may want to also do the same treatment here. So instead of making those touch, I'm going to make sure that we have the same amount of gutter between the rows as we do the columns. And so that should create kind of an invisible box, if you will. And we can, if I can select both, okay, hold the shift key, there we go. All right, and I'll align that to the top of there, and then my spacing here should be pretty close to the spacing there. And so that all lines up. Again, this is going to align to the top. And then we're looking for that same amount of gutter space here. I know we're creating some orphans here, but on the live page, it'll probably fall differently. So we should have roughly the same amount of gutter all the way around, or space. Okay, so these two sections are looking really good. We can group these together just so in case we move them, they don't get out of alignment. All right, so those sections are good. Let's zoom out and see what we got. These rows are good. We did these photos, but we did it from the other page. So let's come back and do a screenshot of this one. Since we're using this one as our example, we will go ahead and just replace that with the actual photo gallery and images. Throw that, it just takes a second to throw those in. Right, okay. And that's a different log home. Nope, that's the one we used. Okay, so all of the items in the pages are matching. There is a testimonial here, even though it is very, very short. We can actually put in the corresponding testimonial. Number one home listed. Actually, that's not the testimonial. That is just a mention of the magazine. But if we have the testimonial, we'll put it in there. All right. That's all the. We do have the floor plans here, so let's put those in there as well, because I think those would be really nice to have. So we're going to copy this image. I'm not crazy about the colors. We've been back and forth kind of on the colors, but let's see what we can do to make it look nice or nicer. Okay, so this could be like 50% on one side. Let's see what kind of filters we have. We have some effects over here. Color, position, drop shadow, layer blur, noise, background, texture. Okay. Effects. I was hoping maybe we would have something where we could change the color, but I'm not seeing it there. Okay, so here's some image controls. Saturation. There we go. Actually, that one thing will make this a lot nicer. Okay, so all I did was change the exposure. I don't want the drop shadow. Okay, so that can go away. I think I got rid of the drop shadow. Okay. Oh, yeah, so I get rid of both of them. Okay, there we go. So now it's flat, and I just have the image saturation all the way over. We will leave these in color because in the magazine, that's probably the way it was. Doesn't matter because it's just a placeholder anyway. So these are two together, so I'll just bring those down. And let's see, we want to do that again for these, saturation. Boom, nice, super easy. All right, so let's take this title up here. We're going to drag that down. Again, shift makes it go straight and option makes it copy. Using some keywords, log home floor plan. So I had forgot about this section when we were looking at the AI. So we could have done that, add that to the bottom, add a floor plan section of 3 rooms. Using a log home style. Add a floor plan section below the testimonial of three rooms using a log home style layout. Okay, we'll let that chew on that for a second. Okay. This green section, I've been thinking about this and I really don't like it. I like the green color, it's one of my favorite colors, but we've been using this this maroon color throughout the website, and we chose this this yellow color, which is a little stark. It's a little bold. But I think it would look okay on this maroon color. We may want to double back and see if we can find a gentle color or, a nicer color than this. But for now, I'm going to leave that. But I definitely want to change this to the maroon color so that it just looks a little solid through the page. This is coming from our footer, which is a screenshot. So we can replace that. But it's got this little divider in it, which is cool. We could redraw that divider so that we have that element. So it is a polygon. So we will see if we can just quickly, oh, so I just single clicked and then that's what I did. So we will put that there, shorten it, and then make it wider. Just to kind of simulate that little divider piece. So these little touches are what makes it really cool. Okay, so begin your journey. So I'm just going to delete that and then we'll grab the footer. Let's make this white so that it blends in. And we'll need to do that in some of the other sections. And And what if we change, oh, that is terrible. Okay, so we'll have to leave that black. And then I'm gonna grab, I added this search box, I remember here. So we'll grab a screenshot of this, of just the footer. I don't need the divider. I have that already. So we just need this part, and we can screenshot that in. And then we'll just scale it to fit. Or you can type it in, 1200. Now it's perfectly perfect, exactly the right size. I know what's bugging me about this button is the words are too close to the edge on the spacing. So I just want to give that a little bit more room. And now I don't hate it as much. I do think we should find another color, but that will be a task for a different time. Let's align these in the middle. I think one thing we're missing here is like a download button, which is on the floor plan page. So we could add a download button there if we like. So we're going to copy and paste this one. And then we will change the color to like a gray, which will match. It will match the floor plans, and it will not call as much attention to itself as the primary button that we want them to click. All right. So likewise, I need to make the button look the right size. Okay, now we're going to need some of that space back. And I'll group that together so it's one piece. Now we can zoom out and kind of see how our layout is going. This button is really tight into the space. It could use a little more vertical space so it doesn't feel like it's crammed in there. We can simply align those to the top. Align top. Oops. Okay, that should have worked. Oh, I guess the triangle doesn't have, has a little more substance there. Align this in the middle. There we go. So that's perfectly centered. Now it's got a little bit more space. This is one piece. I can drag it up more. The section is actually really tall for testimonial, but I see the problem there is it scales the image in the background. So that's interesting. We'll just move it up a little bit. Well, I don't think we put our button in the middle of the page. Line center. So left and right, you're going to align things center. Up and down, you're going to align them in the middle. So just a little terminology there. All right. Oops. Looks like I didn't group these together. So let's do that. Oops. Lost my back. Oh, I missed this little background here. All right. And I can move that up. Doesn't look like my spacing is very consistent here. All right, so we've got our floor plans, which we didn't think about in the beginning, our testimonial section. There should be a position control here somewhere. Appearance, pass. Oh, here it is right here, position. So if I make that a 0, it should align up on left perfectly on the canvas. So we got from the bottom, we got the call to action, the footer, the floor plans, the testimonial, the press release section, the photo gallery, the full description. So we're just working our way to the top. Wild turkey. European Lodge. I think log would be a better searchable term. So I want to put a photo montage in here, which would be a little inconsistent with the other layouts because we've had this little gray bar and piece in there. So even though I'd love to put it at the top, all the other pages are kind of designed this way with the title there. So we need the description here. So we may just want to put our montage in here, which would be our featured, some other featured rooms, and then the full photo gallery, then the press. So let's grab a few pictures here and just pop those in. And so pick up some of our other favorite ones. This outdoor living space, for one, is beautiful. So we'll copy that. So we'll need to give this some space. I might have to make our layout a little bit bigger. So I'm going to drag these over to the side for a minute. And just figure out how I want to set this in there. I think that's about in the middle. And then we're going to grab a couple more. It's the theater, it's the kitchen. Kitchen is always a great room to look at. And if we have a bathroom would be good. I think about what would be the smaller the photo is, the more recognizable, something in the photo needs to be. So, oops. So that green on the green on the pool table really kind of stands out. So even though it's super tiny, you can still see what it is. Here's an exterior, which we don't have a lot of. So I double clicked on the image so I could kind of, in Figma does this neat little thing where, so instead of stretching the image, it just automatically crops and centers it. So there we go. So now I have kind of a collage of the different rooms. I don't think we had a bathroom. So then I don't know if I can scale these up together. It'd be nice if I could do that. There, perfect. Now, so this is a seamless, which is a little bit different look. So we could come back and add the gutters in here to make it feel more like the rest of the website. So I'll double click and add some gutter on that one. Double click that one to add some gutter. Whoops, didn't double click. Okay, did it do it that time? Yes. Okay, so there's a little bit of gutter on that one. And then we'll bring that one back some as well. So now we have a gutter on all the images. Since we already have the title, we'll just put this at the top and then we'll just put all these together. So now we're getting both. We're getting kind of a thumbnail grid at the bottom, which kind of adds, plus this little collage of different size images. It can all kind of work together. Now, if we have a section that has too many words, then we may want to divide this up and put it, see, there's not a lot of visual down here. So we could put it after or between the floor plans and here, which would be kind of nice. So an alternate look would be to bring these down with the floor plans and then bring all of this up. So we get a little bit of each section of what's going on and not a whole lot of one thing. Now, these are not black and white, but they could be possibly. I haven't done that on the website before, but just so that the whole section's kind of blending together. And then when they click on these, they would get the full color view. So that might be kind of a neat way to present this section. Now I'm just kind of, this download button is down here. We don't have a title for this section, but it feels like it goes together except for this button part. So that might be the only thing I'd want to change here. So let's just see what that looks like. And this is the great thing with doing the design versus just building, is I can kind of move these things around and I can see what, whether I like that or not, without committing to any code or not knowing how to undo it or anything like that. So this button is kind of floating down here. It might be nice to put it in this section down here at the bottom, but then we would have to take this out of the footer of the website. So that's something to consider. So if this black part was the footer and we had different, a different section on each page, we could do that. So let's consider for a moment that. So let's ungroup that, but let's consider that these buttons are down here at the bottom together. So you have your primary call to action and your secondary call to action. Let's see, let's move that over to 0. So there's perfect. Let's group those together. Oops, I think I missed. Command-Shift G is to ungroup. I'm going to select shift-click all my items. And then Command-G to group. This is pretty tight in here, but I'm really kind of liking the way it's grouped together. And now my secondary call to action is kind of out of the way. It's not generating all this extra white space on an additional row. Um, this is one of the things that drive me crazy when there's just so many rows when it's unnecessary, or there's like just one tiny item. Titles and headings could be an exception to that. I mean, like this is a super important element here, log home floor plan. So we don't want it, people to kind of visually go down the page past the title of the section. We want them to know where they are, right? So that's there. We can bring these on down. We'll leave extra space on top. This one, since it's kind of in a box, I kind of want the right and left to match the bottom. Okay, so in this section, we didn't group these together yet. So let's select all those, group them, and then kind of twice as much on top as in the bottom. All right, and now let's bring back our other sections over here. We are so close. All right, so now we're literally just down to the header section. There's our title. Okay, so I had this little box here. It looks like our background needs to be taller. So I'm just going to stretch that up some. And this is our gray for the background. I want that to be 1200. And I want it to be at position X equals 0. All right, so the challenge here with the top section, I've kind of saved it for last. I do like this full width. So this is already kind of here. Get rid of this silly thing here. And we're just going to screenshot this whole top piece because as far as I know, there's nothing wrong with it. The logo looks good. We have the share items. We may be changing this title at the top. How did that thing come back? Wow, I close it and it doesn't go away. Hide on the site. Okay. All right, there, it's gone. It's gone. All right, there's a screenshot of the full preview. Put that in there. So I'm using Command Shift 4 to do a selected screenshot. Okay, so let's just change this to 1200. Position 0. I like being able to type in the coordinates exactly where I want it to go, and then I don't have to worry about trying to fiddle with lining it up. All right, so we may want to change the title here, and maybe this needs to be more about, what this section is instead. And we want this to actually go at the top as well. So that'll be kind of difficult unless I pull this picture in. So really this needs to be a heading 2, which I usually do 44. And then that means these need to drop down to 33, which that one is. So that's perfect. We don't have that little gray bar here on this section, but on our other pages, we've been designing those in and putting the title in them. I wonder what the line height is set to. It's on auto. So when you draw these, sometimes you can draw a text box, much like a print material works, or you can just click and type. So there's different kind of little text frames. There's a text frame versus a text box, I guess you could say. Which makes it behave and align differently. So really debating on whether or not we want to keep this style here that we've done on the other pages with this photo underneath it. We can copy this little guy. Shift Option will make a copy. And then we can make it the same color as that section. Oh, there's the old one. Okay, we just have this little action going in here, but this is all lined up. This has got a nice gutter between sections. All that's laid out. So now we may want to change. We're missing the location, which I copied to the clipboard, but let's go back and do that again. Just this little piece right here. Actually, it might be cool if we put this into here. So we don't need. This is kind of a double. I think we should do one or the other. So if this is a log home, then we could do log home. I don't know what's screaming at me about that. Log home lodge. You know, and this kind of defines the style of the project and the location that it's in. So that might work. Or we could change the top. This is kind of, the name of what it is, or we could swap these. So I'll let the client kind of make some preference call on how they would like to do that. But this would be our H1 on the page. So it would be more beneficial to have this information at the top and then have the actual name, down here, Wild Turkey Lodge description, with our styling information here. And we've got our photo gallery, our press section, featured, human error. So our press section, our testimonials, and our floor plan, which is super tight down here, actually. Let's give it some more space there so it's more centered. And then we put our button together at the bottom and our footer. So this is looking amazing. And if we have a longer description, we would just add another photo and put the text on the left. So that's completely expandable all the way through. So this looks fantastic. This has all the components that we want for a portfolio project. It has the colors, the fonts, the sizes of the text. It even has a collage, which I didn't think about doing that before, but I think it really adds a nice component to the page and the project. And then we just kind of have the nitty gritty down at the bottom, with the floor plans and the download and the gallery. So if people want to look at more photos. So if we have a lot of photos to choose from, we might use different photos up here in the collage versus the actual gallery section. So there's some flexibility in this, but this is a complete portfolio project, top to bottom. Tells us everything we really need to know about the project from start to finish. So wow, what a long session today, but I hope you really got a lot out of this and can understand that it's super important to be able to get a professional looking web page. You need to take the time to step through the process, do the design work, do your research, do your design, look at your copy, look at how much copy you're going to have on the page. Think about the usability and the interaction on the page. So all of these things play into building a beautiful, searchable uh, portfolio project page that will really help your website rank better. Thank you for watching and listening today. And hopefully in the next session, maybe in a week or two, we'll actually get to build this page, and that would be exciting. We're going to get some feedback from the customer first, and we'll make any little design adjustments before we build out the page. And then when we build it, we're practically done. So that's the beauty part of that. So thank you, and we'll talk to you next time.